Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel for my next video, which, like I said, is going to be about my ex-husband and I. It's definitely not something I want to talk about, and I actually went to church and came home and like took off my dress and all that and put my hair up, and then I was like, oh yeah, I need to do my video. Definitely wasn't even remotely excited to do this one for a lot of reasons. I'm sure people can probably infer because obviously I'm divorced, so it's not an exciting topic for me to talk about, but you know, I'm being somewhat transparent, and you know, the goal of my channel for helping and encouraging other women similar to me. I'm gonna bite the bullet and tell you my story. So my ex-husband and I started dating when I was 22, a couple months after I turned 22. It already started off with drama because he was dating someone else that was full of drama, and she was married, and she was separated, I guess, from her husband, and he was in the military, and they had kids, and then she got pregnant, and she didn't know whose baby it was. Was it my ex-husband's, or was it her husband's baby? So it wound up being a big to-do. Really something, looking back, I never should have gotten involved with in the first place. I mean, it's just, it stinks because you live and you learn. So definitely already red flags. My ex-husband, by the way, was also 9 years older than me, and you know, really couldn't tell though, maturity-wise, that he was that much older than me. But you know, when you're young, it's just like you overlook so many things, and that was just totally to my detriment. And so I can't even really blame anybody. And I blame my mom and my dad a little bit. You know, I told my dad a couple, maybe last year sometime, I was like, you know what, Dad? I blame you. I blame you because you didn't say no when he came and asked you if he could marry me. And he just laughed, and he's like, yeah, I know. But that's just the kind of dad I have. So, you know, it is what it is. I kind of blame my mom a little bit too, because I had a dream one night after we had gotten engaged, and it was like a really crazy dark dream, and it was like something was telling me, like in my dream, like, I don't know, like something that I couldn't see was like speaking to me, telling me not to marry him, not to marry him. And there was like snakes, and it was dark, and I was like in this weird hellacious type place. And then I tell my mom, and she's like, you know, I think it's just the devil trying to keep you from getting married. Maybe it was some divine intervention trying to tell me not to get married. But hey, what are you gonna do? You know, she's not a professional, so I can't be too mad at either one of them. I was grown, and I was able to make my own decisions. When I was younger, I was really easily led by my emotions. I think that I've gotten better. I wouldn't say that I'm perfect in that, you know, respect, but I think, you know, with maturity, you know, your mindset is definitely a lot different. You look at things a lot different. You know, you look at adversity and challenges and relational issues so much different. And so that's why I really wanted to do these videos, because I just made so many mistakes, and this was probably my biggest one, because I really, you know, long story short, getting to the end of the video, like, I never should have married this person. And so that's what the issue was for me. And so it created so much turmoil in my life, marrying somebody that wasn't responsible, that wasn't, you know, mature, that didn't know how to be a husband, that didn't know what God or the Bible says about being a husband. And I think that really was to my, you know, detriment, you know, definitely because of the fact that he didn't know how to be a husband. And I can't say that, you know, it was perfect, but I will tell you, and he will tell you the same thing, that, you know, I tried. I was 23, 24 when we got married, maybe like a couple months before 24. So 23, 24 when we got married, and I mean, I was a lot more mature about the situation than he was. You know, first off, you know, kind of reining myself back a little bit, digressing. When he proposed to me, I was already thinking about breaking up with him because of all of the red flags. And so I think that, God, that was just like, oh my God. So real quick story about why I was thinking about breaking up with him. So I used to work for the state in a juvenile detention center, and went to the academy there, and it was like going to college or something all over again, being at that academy, because we stayed in like dorms, because like they also do like state trooper training and Department of Corrections and you know, other law enforcement trainings there. So, you know, it was where we had to stay there for 3 weeks and, you know, have roommates and all that and live in like these dorms. And it was actually fun. I mean, it wasn't actually even as much drama as you would think, you know, having all these people. But I did meet someone while I was there, and he was younger than, no, he's not younger than me. We're the same age, and he was in the Marines, he was in college, you know, and he just seemed like he had his crap together. And I don't know, but I don't know if anybody like knows this about me, but like, that is likely one of the most attractive things to me, is somebody that's ambitious and, you know, had goals and was kind of like me, you know, like a go-getter and stuff like that. So, you know, I had dated Shruby Whoopi and Bear and Homeboy, and so all those situations, also Michael, all those situations of them just being so young acting, you know, yes, you're young, but like, I guess I needed just somebody that was a little bit more on my level. Like I said, I think in one of my videos that my 3rd or 4th grade teacher told me I was too serious. So I've just been pretty serious and responsible my whole entire life for the most part. Can't say that I didn't make stupid decisions, obviously. Here we are. But so with this guy, it was really attractive to me to meet somebody finally my age that I was like, you know, like, we're here, you know, and that was exciting and new and different. And so he and I started hanging out while we were there, and he lived in Jacksonville, so that was like, you know, something that wasn't obviously gonna work out, but, you know, like just building a friendship, watching movies, hanging out, like going out to eat and stuff, and, you know, like us just hanging out together. That was cool, and that was just so different than what I felt like I had with my ex-husband. And so I don't know, I kind of came back after those 3 weeks feeling a lot different. And I mean, yeah, I was making plans without him in my life at that point. So I get back, and it seems like my ex-husband, you know, who's, you know, my boyfriend at the time, was, you know, seeing changes in me and maybe thinking that, you know, like I had a different mindset and maybe I'd met somebody, and, you know, he was right. And not to say that I was, you know, right in what I did by, you know, building a bond with someone else, but at the same time, I mean, really, if you put yourself in my position of just meeting people, like person after person after person that just was just not where they needed to be in life for me, you know, as like a person that I wanted to be with, like they just weren't living up to my standards, you know. And I was settling in all these relationships, you know, including this one, because I think my ex-husband proposed to me because he thought that I was going to break up with him, which he was right. So long story short, I accepted his proposal reluctantly, and it was so foolish of me to do that. I really should have just said no, but it's like, I'm 22 years old and someone's proposing to me, and I'm like, what do I do? Like, do I say no? It was just, and it was so unexpected. I had no idea he was doing it, not one clue. Even my parents knew. And they could have came to me and told me, and I feel like if they would have came to me and told me, maybe I could have made a plan. And like I said, I'm not blaming anybody but myself. But it's just like, it's so important to have a good, godly counsel and support team around you to make sure that, you know, you stay focused and that you can advocate for yourself. And, you know, with the whole getting married thing, you know, I had gotten back into church, I had gotten baptized, I was reading the Bible more, I was going to church regularly. And it was more or less like me looking at certain Bible verses, like, you know, well, it's better to get married than to burn. You know, that was like probably the biggest thing that I was thinking about at the time. And so, I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's hard because no, I don't think that I should have married him, but, you know, no, I wasn't making the right decisions and, you know, having sexual relationships with someone that wasn't my husband either. So it was like, I was real torn about this. And then too, you know, when someone proposes to you and you're like, you know, your whole family's all excited and planning your wedding and all those things. And, you know, it was an exciting time. So that made everything hard too. Okay, so after all of that, you know, the hype wore off and stuff because we were fighting all the time. And, you know, I really feel like he only proposed to me so that he wouldn't lose me, which was just so super selfish of him. Because I really honestly feel like that's the only reason. Because just fast forward, I mean, like, yeah, there was all kinds of stuff going on beforehand, you know, before we got married that, you know, was more red flags of why we shouldn't have gotten married. Like I said, you know, the maturity level, you know, being bad with money, not, you know, being a stable person at, you know, his age, way older than me. I had more than he did. I mean, like, it was just, like, it was stupid. It was just really stupid. But, you know, like, when you do care about somebody, it's hard because you're kind of blinded by, you know, yes, I do care about this person, but, you know, just because I care about them doesn't mean that I have to have them in my life. It doesn't mean that everybody is going where I'm going. And that was really something I had to learn, just trial and error with all the relationships I've had in my life. And just really, really having to come to terms with God being in control and him showing me I shouldn't have married him. And I was just a little bit disillusioned and torn, like I said, between, you know, wanting to do the godly thing and just go ahead and get married, or, you know, just ending the relationship, period. Is just, there's just a lot of stuff. And like I said, I don't know, I made the wrong decision. Because there were a lot of red flags. But fast forward to us getting married. We had our own apartment, obviously, and things like that. We were both working, and so, you know, that was kind of fine. But like overdrafting our account all the time, like just being reckless and careless and not budgeting. It's like, how at my age am I having to take control of this? Like, why am I having to take control of our marriage? Like, why? So obviously that's causing me so much frustration and causing our relationship a lot of stress, is, you know, you just not being mature enough. And then, you know, him making it seem like, oh, well, maybe we never should have gotten married. Maybe we should just go ahead and get a divorce. Like, this is like a few months in. It's like, why did we get married? Like, why did you propose to me? Like, why did you interrupt my life? So, you know, really, really tried. I mean, I really, really tried. I feel like, to just make things work, and it was exhausting. So about maybe a year into our marriage, he had gotten saved. And things were actually a little bit better because we were going to church, and it really seemed like he was putting forth some effort. That lasted all of 3 to 6 months. So here we are, we've been married about a year and a half. And you know, a year of it was crap. Like, I mean, I can't say that it was all bad, and it wasn't bad all the time, but it was just, you know, the time that we spent fighting. And, you know, really, I was the peacemaker 9 times out of 10, because I was the one that, you know, had maybe a stronger relationship with God, and, you know, really felt like, you know, I was being led more by the Holy Spirit as far as, you know, arguments and, you know, letting time go by, letting things fester and stuff like that. I was pretty much going to be the peacemaker that's going to be like, you know, I don't want to spend a weekend of us not talking when I can just forgive whatever and move on, because it was him. I mean, and I would hope that, you know, he would tell you that it was him, because me being a nagging wife is because you're just doing so much extra, dude. Like, go to work and come home, and like, you know, we stack our money and we do things, and, you know, we plan and we budget, you know, like real life, you know, real adulting. Like, why couldn't it be that simple? So yeah, that was pretty frustrating. Things started getting bad again, ironically on Valentine's Day of maybe 2008. And 2008, Valentine's 2008, 2009. Anyway, Valentine's Day 2008 or 2009. He was supposed to come home, like he was at work, and then he was supposed to come home, and the next day we were supposed to do stuff. And so he literally stayed out until I think it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, where are you? Like, I wake up out of my sleep, like, what is going on? I'm calling him, he's not answering the phone. And then I call like some of his friends from work, and they didn't answer the phone. And like, I forgot how I don't know, I think I did some like PI stuff like on our phone bill or whatever, and like try to find out one of the guys that he hangs out with's name, and well, not name, but phone number. So I called them, and he was like, no, a girl answered, but it was like it wasn't my ex-husband's phone, it was the phone of the friend. So a girl answers and was like, you know, identified who I was and whatever, and asked if he was there. So he wound up like calling me back, and like, I don't know, it was really a sketchy situation, like as to what was going on. I'm like, why are you hanging out with him and his girlfriend? Like, it was really a sketchy thing in the first place. And I don't think I ever got the full story about what was going on that night. So your guess is as good as mine. Of course, my imagination was going crazy. So instead of coming home, he went to like his parents' house, which is like an hour away, and like, I don't know, talked to his mom about the situation. So I don't know, like something obviously happened more than what I know. But fast forward maybe about 3 months or so after that, and I find out that he's cheating on me, and it was with someone at work. So I really don't know the whole story of this either. I mean, he really was a big liar too. Like, I'm sorry, you Virgos, but Lord have mercy, Jesus, I have never met a bigger liar than a Virgo. And not just him, like, oh my Lord, like, I do not get it. They will like go to the depths lying. But anyway, so I found out he's cheating on me. You know, and basically like, he, at this point, like, I guess he was just so ready to purge, but not, you know, divulge all the ins and outs of it, but, you know, just to like bring it out in the open so that he could breathe better. Like, okay, she knows, you know, I don't have to hide it anymore. So because of the fact that it didn't really seem like he was remorseful about it, I was like, well, look, I'm not going to stay here with you and, you know, pay bills and you're running out of the house with somebody else. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know, you would think that you would be remorseful and like, you know, like begging me to stay and all these things. So he wasn't doing any of those things. So whatever, I leave and I moved in with my parents for about 3 months. Anybody that's moved out and then gone back to live with their parents knows that that is just not a cool situation. So I moved back in with my parents and one or maybe both of them was driving me nuts. Maybe just one. And I just could not take it. So me and my ex-husband, we were talking still and we were going to church and, you know, things like that together. Like we were spending some time together trying to see if we could reconcile. And, you know, I got to the point where I was like, well, look, you know, if we're not going to be back together, then we should get a divorce. Because what, like, I mean, you think I'm going to just live apart from you? Like, you live this whole double life and, you know, like, something's got to give type situation. So I'm talking to him about this and he's like, whatever, you know, like, we'll just, you know, try it again and things like that. And he, you know, allegedly wasn't cheating on me anymore. And I moved back in to our apartment. I had taken my name off of the lease when I was there, but like evidently like me just signing a paper didn't technically take my name off of the lease, so I guess I could have came back at any time and claimed my property. But so I went back to them, was like, hey, you know, like we're gonna try to work things out or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's okay, it's fine if you move back in because, you know, technically your name was on the lease. So fine. Moved back in and I'm back for like a month and I start having like this funky bleeding around my period, like this funky discharge, and I was like, if I have an STD, we're fighting. We're fighting. Like, that's just all it is. Because that's, you know, what I'm thinking in the back of my mind. I'm like, this is not normal. I don't know what's going on. This is not okay. So after a day or two of it, I went to the emergency room because like, this is just not right. You know, like what was going on is not cool. Like, this is not normal. Like, so I go to the emergency room about it. So he's at work and so I'm at the emergency room by myself, which I was doing a lot of things by myself at that point. Go to the ER by myself and there for like, what felt like forever. I told them all my symptoms and so they took blood and did cultures and yada 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 and urine and all that. And the girl walks back in the room after a urine sample and she says, you're pregnant. It's like, nuh-uh. She's like, yes. I'm like, no. She's like, yes. I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, yeah. So this is legit how this happened too, for real. She comes and like stands at the door and puts her hand on her hip and she's like, you're pregnant. This is seriously how our, you know, back and forth went. So back for about a month, we're trying to work things out and then we get this news. Text him at work and he couldn't really say much. He came to the hospital after he got off because it's still freaking there, you know how the ER is. And he just had like a blunt affect, like emotionless. So I couldn't really read him. When he was talking to the girl like about it, he was smiling like the nurse. He was like smiling with her, but then when it came to me, he was just real quiet. So I'm going to stop right here with the video, and I'm going to only upload this portion this week, and then I will do a part 2 next week. I knew this was going to be one of my longer ones because of the fact that I was married for 6 years, so it is my longest relationship. There's just so much foolishness that went on. Hence, you guys know he's my ex-husband. So I will come back next week and I will let you guys know how the story ends, how everything goes down with the baby, and our divorce and all those kinds of things. So stay tuned. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it and subscribe to my channel. Press the little bell button if you would like, so that you can get alerts when I post my part 2 video. Until next week, thank you guys for watching.